Morning, everyone, and welcome to Tottenham Tantrum Gold, your home of classic debates, classic talk, and classic Tottenham. I am here on my own this morning because Coover and Phil are probably still in bed. No, and Dermot, Phil's in the chat. So we are going solo today for the first time ever. Your Coffee King will be your master of ceremonies today. Yeah, it was a really disappointing performance yesterday. Absolutely dire performance. And we're actually joined by a guest. We're joined by none other than the legendary, the godfather of the Harris Army. We're joined by Mr. Philip Brady. How are you keeping, sir? Did you get back all right?
Yeah, I got back fine. It was a day of two halves, I think would be the best way of putting it.
Yeah.
It was great to meet up with all the guys in the beehive and then to carry on down to the ground and watch that, I won't say what show.
Yeah, it was shocking. I mean, it was absolutely wonderful. I mean, that was the only take I had from the day yesterday. Getting to see all the lads from the show, getting to see Ellie, getting to see everyone, getting to see Alex Davis even was a laugh and a half on that day. David Harris, absolute legendary bloke. Everyone was there, all the legends, all the chaps. And if the team showed a quarter of the passion we showed for ourselves and our community, we'd be the Champions League winners, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it was very lackluster from beginning to end, you know. And
yeah,
I was even watching them during they did the pre-match warm-up down there where I was sitting, you know. I don't know, there was just something a lack of intensity or just going through the motions. It didn't seem to be any great passion for what they were about to do, you know. I mean, Wolves were up for that from the very start, and you know,
they were.
They really were, and they smelt blood after Thursday night or the Wednesday night. They knew what they knew.
They knew how to play.
Early, we were not going to react, and we didn't react. And it was. I'll tell you, the one guy I do feel sorry for is Ryan Sessegnon.
Yeah.
What must have been that poor lad's head walking around that pitch after being subbed after 25 minutes, whatever it was, you know. Yeah. Okay, he hadn't done great, but had he done any worse than 6 or 7 others on the pitch?
No.
He was a sacrificial lamb, really, for what was going on, you know. But it's going to do one of two things. It'll either kill his confidence forever, and that's him gone, or he'll come back stronger. And I have a feeling he's going to be the first of those two, not the latter.
That's a real shame. Let's see who's in the chat this morning. Of course, we've got Mr. Philip Brady in the house saying awful performance. And, of course, having to sit next to an Arsenal fan and a Wolves fan. So I feel really sorry for you. Mr. Atavacron, Wembley 1 is in the house saying, morning, guys. You could almost replay last Thursday morning show, couldn't you? I felt so bad for the guys who got up at stupid o'clock to journey from Ireland to be served that slop. Yeah, it was pathetic, wasn't it? Absolutely pathetic. But at least we had each other, eh? Mr. Stephen Cartwright's in the building. Good morning, Stephen. Hopefully you're keeping well. Good morning, boys. Are you here for some therapy too? I'm here because I have to be here because none of the other boys are around. So I'm here, keeping the shit going. The show must go on. Moondog is in the house saying, is it a good morning? I'm still crying. Morning, guys. Yeah, it's pathetic, wasn't it? Absolutely pathetic. Ryan McFarland is here from sunny Derry saying, can we talk about anything other than this team, please? Morning. Oh, yeah, we can talk about knitting. I'm good at knitting. not really. Hollywood Phil was in the building. Is this shit ever going to end? Where the hell was the next win coming from? Looking at the next few fixtures, we saying Scum will fall behind, but they're not. They could take top 4 spot. For F's sake. Yep, you are right, Mr. Hollywood Phil. Absolutely bang on the money. I mean, yeah, shocking. Deza is in the building. Lovely to see you, Mr. Derek Hutchinson. Hopefully you're having a good morning as well. Saying, what a load of crap. Absolutely useless. Yep, it was. Mr. John Fitzpatrick is in the building. That day back in 1999, and one of the best days of my life. Come on, you Spurs. I mean, yeah, might as well go back to that, mightn't we? Moondog's talking to Phil.
Yeah.
Tabacron is saying Conte should have sued Sessegnon, but he starts against City. Yeah, that's the only way to really repay him. But I don't know. Maybe his confidence is totally shot. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Kev Williams. Good morning. I'm still hurting and feeling low. Yeah. About that performance, I mean, what could we have done otherwise, Mr. Philip Brady? What could we have done to really have... Was it the manager's fault? Is it the players' fault for not being up for that game? Whose fault really is it? I mean...
Well, I think we were walking down to the ground whenever the team was announced, and you could nearly hear the collective groan when the name H. Winks appeared in the team sheet.
Yeah.
And he proved our issues right about being at fault for giving away the ball that led to the first goal. You know, I'm not sure if he was involved in the second one. He probably was, but no, I think too many players did not step up. Like our two wing backs, whenever we had wing backs for the first half hour, did not get by their man once. They didn't even try to get by their man once. They kept coming inside and passing the ball sideways.
Yeah.
And that's probably why Sessegnon was sacrificed to go to a flat back 4. The only positives that I can take from yesterday were Betancourt, which I thought was immense. Romero was immense.
Yeah.
And other than that, I find it frustrating to watch Heung-min Son a yard off the pace still.
Yeah.
He is not the Sonny boy that was playing before he got injured. Harry Kane, flattered to deceive in the first half. He did a few good things, but the second half was pretty much anonymous.
Yeah.
And you can't play a team like Wolves with 3 players. Even Hugo Lloris had probably the worst game he's had. Even though he saved us a couple of occasions, he was badly at fault for both the goals, in my opinion. You know, so
yeah,
you can't play it. You need a team like Wolves, who are a very tidy little outfit and have come up really unnoticed in the league. Mm-hmm. They're now ahead of us. And from talking to the guy on the plane last night, they plan to stay there, because they are very happy with what they've got. They reckon that what's the name? The name of their midfielder, I can never remember the name. He reckoned it was the easiest game we had all season.
Yeah, I mean,
there was no pressure put on them at all.
Yeah, would you say the fault of the upper management for not providing enough players for the team, because we are having to play unfit players? In my opinion, Lucas Moura looked unfit. Son Heung-min looked unfit. Take your pick, they all looked unfit. Is this Conte's
training regime? Is it the training regime is making them look that way? I mean, I know it's very hard to go over these very hard sessions that make you super fit, but they can also have the other reaction of making you look super slow and just tired. And that's the way they looked yesterday to me, tired and just no zip in the legs at all. And sorry, I forgot to mention another guy who shouldn't have been on the team sheet yesterday is Sanchez.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say, every time he got the ball in the second half, I closed my eyes.
Yeah.
Because I was scared of what he's going to do with it next. Because the guy just does not have a pass in him at all. He seems to hoof the ball up the pitch. Hopefully it reaches a white shirt. More than often it didn't. So, no. I think, do you know what's in our mindset too? The next game, if we were playing Burnley or Ipswich or Norwich or someone next, we'd say, we'll bounce back against that. Our next game is Man City away.
Yeah.
But we don't even get a cup of tea at half time at that ground. You know, so it's going to be extremely difficult. It'd be typically Spursy now to bounce back and beat City. But can you really see that happening? I can't.
Absolutely not. Let's check some more of the comments, because we got, as usual on Tottenham Tantrum Gold, we're backed up in the comments. Why is Winks being played? Surely to God, if we all know he's not worthy of starting the managership. I couldn't tell you that, Kev. It's all a mystery to me. Deza is saying unusual mistakes from Luis Costa's game. You could say that. It was incredibly poor those first 20 minutes. Unusual, but you wouldn't have any other goalkeeper in goal for the most part of the season. It's very rare to see Luis put a terrible performance like that. Stephen Cartwright saying Winks and one other midfield is suicidal from Conte. Sonny looks dejected. I don't blame him. I do not blame him. Kev is now saying Real Madrid want Reguilon back. I don't blame them. They don't look a football team, and Reggie's a football player. I mean, I'm surprised he wasn't playing. Mr. Aaron Dubb is in the building. Lovely to see you, Aaron. He's saying unfit. These are pro athletes. It's their attitude, not fitness. I think it's both. I think it's both. Like, if you look at a yard off the pace, I mean, attitude can only take you so far if you're not fit. I mean, they've all had big injuries and they've played well too many games this season. That's why Højbjerg didn't play. He is obviously shattered. After playing the entire season at Tottenham, plus the entire Euros, they're all shattered. It's another question for another day. But are we playing too many international football matches? The players are starting to be a real effect on the players. And with the 25-man squad rule, you can't get necessary cover. So players are having to play triple the games. So that's another question for another day. Tavakron, Wembley won. Add to that, none of the kids anywhere near. Yeah, they're not. It's a real shame. I'd love to see a Harvey White or an Alfie Devine because at least they'd have some fitness in them maybe because they're not playing hundreds of games per season. And you can't tell me that Alfie Devine wouldn't put a better shift in than Harry Winks after yesterday. Surely.
Yeah.
He's also continuing. And next Saturday is purely about damage limitation. I would flood the midfield if all possible. And if we're going to give them the ball, at least give it to them in their half. Who fit clear? Yeah, I would agree with you. Who knows? Yeah. Skippy might be fit. If Skippy and Dyer are fit, it might be a different game. But I just don't see it.
Badly missed him yesterday. Badly missed him.
Rodon has to start ahead of Sanchez. Yeah, he does, in my opinion. Start anyone. Start me ahead of Sanchez. Start everyone ahead of Sanchez, in my opinion. So going back to that point, Skip and Dyer are the heroes of the Tottenham season. How is that possible, Phil? I went on We Are Tottenham TV, big up those boys, earlier in the season and said that Dyer is actually a half-decent player, and I got slaughtered for it for about 2 weeks. And I've been proven correct.
Yeah. Eric Dyer and Harry Winks were the two whipping boys, really, at the start of the season. And one of them has come good. One of them has reacted to Conte, and the other one hasn't, in my opinion. Even though Harry Winks says Conte has resurrected his career, in his eyes he may have done. In our eyes, he certainly hasn't. So that's gone. No, I mean Eric Dyer is a solid rock in the defense. Like Eric Dyer was always a good player. He didn't always show it. That was his problem. But now he's been showing it. And it just shows you how badly we missed him yesterday, and Skip, because Skip would have been. Let me see. He would have bossed that midfield, not bossed it, but he would have given Núñez something to think about yesterday. Which he didn't have. But the strange thing about this weekend, I was watching the other games around the Europe on Saturday there, and how typically it would be that all the players we let go during the transfer window all had stormers at the weekend. Well, maybe Dele Alli didn't score, but he played well for Everton when he came on. Apparently, Ndombele had an absolute stormer for Lyon. Lo Celso played very well for Villarreal. So there you go. They can't do it for Spurs, but they go away and within a week they're performing very well for their new clubs. So what is wrong with us?
So, we are going to bring on another guest. He's late as well, but at least he's here. Better late than never, I'd say. He is the leader of the Tottenham Tantrum Gold Army in terms of the digital back end. He's my mate, and he's your mate. It's Kuva99. Welcome back. Welcome.
I honestly thought we weren't doing a stream this morning, mate.
No one told me that. I was like, might as well do a stream.
Sorry, I should have said something then. Thought Dermot had said to leave it. He was with you yesterday, so it's your responsibility. It's responsibility.
I looked after him like an egg. He had a great day, apart from the football.
All right. Morning, Philip. How are you doing, mate?
Hi, Kuva. How are you?
Well, after the glorious result, I'm energized this morning. But it's Valentine's Day and the club's showing me no love.
Yeah, as usual. I love them. They hate me.
Yeah, that's right. Isn't it? So what have we got to then? We got finished grumbling about the result yesterday, or onto new things?
Head on to the new channel update. We're actually going to become Knitting Lovers Anonymous. This is the last stream of Tottenham Tantrum Gold, and we're only going to talk about knitting because that knitting never disappoints you, unlike Tottenham.
Yeah,
it goes back to that old adage of when I die, I want the Tottenham team to be my pallbearers, so they can let me down one more time.
we could start drinking on air and just say Tottenham turned us to drink, and here's what we're doing today.
Yeah.
Starts at sort of 9 a.m.
Yeah. So we're going to get through some more of these comments. Mr. Kev Williams is saying, Ben, I would gladly start you ahead of Sanchez. I would as well. I can't be that poor. I would be better than him in Doc Martens. And I say that every week. Deza is saying, big up to Mr. Coover 99. And Stephen Cartwright is saying our win rate when Skippy is playing is 2 to 3 times better than when he isn't playing. Yep.
Yeah.
Kev is then saying, I think that Ndombele suits the French League and Celso suits the Spanish League. Native language for both players, and the pace is not the same as the Premier League.
Yeah.
About Oliver Skipp, Coover, the guy is clearly a genius because whenever he's not in the team, we lose. How good is Oliver Skipp? So the fact that we now seem to be totally useless without him.
He's got that one thing that the others don't have: boundless energy. Skipp plays. I mean, Winks plays like an old man at times.
Yeah,
he looks very frail on the ball, and Højbjerg can't seem to get around. He lacks the pace.
Yeah.
Skip's got a bit of pace to him and flies in the tackles, can pass it. Does it all. He just needs some years in him, doesn't he? Bit of experience. He'll be a hell of a player.
Yeah. So how do we keep?
I think the statistics show that when Skipp, Højbjerg, and Dyer play, we don't even concede a goal. Never mind losing.
Yeah.
So is that the secret? Make sure those three are in the team every conceivable time we can get them together. When Oliver Skipp was on loan with Norwich last season, I kept saying to him, "Don't let him go out on loan again. We need him in the first team this season." And he's proved me right so far. Yeah. That guy should be in the international squad. Well, the fringes of it at the moment, the way he's playing. And let's face it, he could be the savior of our season if he comes back in and shores up that midfield and gets us moving again. We can start going in the right direction, because since he's been out, it's been one-way traffic, and it's not the right way either. We're going down.
Amazingly, Dyer is just as important. It seems.
Yeah.
The defense looks a shambles when he's not
hero to hero in about 2 months.
I mean, the question is, all these Premier League football teams are going to be looking at Tottenham, the Manchester Cities, the Man Uniteds, the Chelseas, and they're going to see we're an utter shambles without Ollie Skipp. What is going to stop us from losing possibly our best midfield prodigy of the last 15, 20 years? What's going to stop us losing him? Because if a big team like Manchester City wants Oliver Skipp, what's going to keep him at the footbal club, in my opinion? Yeah. The guy is almost surely world class at this rate. I don't want to big him up too far because he's only a young lad. But when your team goes from all right to being absolutely diabolical, clearly he is a genius. Clearly he's the second coming. How do we keep him?
Well, he is a Tottenham lad. That's the only thing. He's been with Spurs since he was an embryo nearly, So, I mean, he has loyalty to the club. But then again, if Man City came in with a 50 million bid for him, you'd probably find Levy bite their hand off.
I think he's almost a 70 million quid player just because of his age.
Whatever.
Was he 21, 22 years old? And he looks like he's been playing.
To us at the moment, he might as well be a 500 million pound player, because we're not going to replace him.
Yeah, we cannot replace him. I mean, we could bring someone like Franck Kessié in, but I don't think he brings to the table what Skipp does. I think Kessié might just be another Ndombele of that sort of.
He's got that sort of lazy sort of gait to him, hasn't he?
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people that watch Milan say. He's got utter class, but he's got that laziness about him. But what
I
Ollie's
mean, look,
it's just
look
like
at the pace. Look at the pace. Look at the pace of the Premiership compared to the La Liga and Spanish League or Serie A.
yeah.
It's 20%, 30% more intense, and it does take players time to react and get up to speed on that. So if a player is lazy looking, I don't think he's gonna make it in the Premiership. And Ndombele certainly didn't, and that was not a good role model. If you haven't got a bit of pace and a bit of guile about you, you're going to be caught out very quickly, which happened with Ndombele, and we don't want it to happen again.
Yeah, it's a very worrying thing. The squad is threadbare, and it's now unfortunately, as much as I wanted to be very positive about getting rid of the Deadwood, we have been shown that this squad is now threadbare. It's now beyond threadbare. Threadbare is an understatement for the most part. We look so thin. We almost look like one of those Tesco's ham sandwiches, like a see-through, totally see-through.
Yeah. Like one of those sort of takeaway meals where the oil rubs through the paper bag and you can see right the way through it. There's nothing tasty inside either. Yeah, well, I'm looking at the squad. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we don't even have a right back at the club.
Yeah.
Midfield, as you said, threadbare. If Skippy's injured, what have we got left? Højbjerg couldn't get into the side. When we're having to scrape the barrel and say, well, Winks wasn't shocking in the second half. That's like supposed to be a positive point at the moment. I mean, Jesus Christ, he was terrible in the first half. So many of the team were terrible. That's the trouble. We got no attacking outlets down either flank. Everything has to go through Harry Kane at the moment.
Yeah.
So I mean, any team that all they have to do is pack out a midfield and drop a couple of players on Kane. That's it. We're finished. We've got nothing to offer.
It used to be the old thing that Alex Ferguson used to go into the dressing room when United were playing Spurs. They lads, it's only Tottenham. There's an awful lot more managers saying exactly the same thing at the minute. You can be sure the Wolves manager said it yesterday.
Yeah.
Man City guy will be saying it next Saturday. So we have what we need to do is get a decent win going, a win that none of us expected. And we have a very tough run of games coming now. It's literally the Northeast show now, or the Northwest show.
Yeah.
Man City, Burnley, Leeds, and Middlesbrough, all one after the other. 4 games away from home in 2 weeks. That is a serious test of everything. Of squad intensity, squad thinness. And I tell you, we might be bad now, but in a month's time, we could be sitting here even more depressed if things don't go right in those games. And none of those teams that we're going to, especially Burnley, can make a good account of themselves when they play. Leeds will be very difficult. Middlesbrough, they hate Spurs anyway for some reason, which I'm never able to get a reason to.
That's it.
Yeah, I don't know why it is. Of course, what's going to happen. We're going to beat Middlesbrough and get drawn against Chelsea away in the next round.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah.
I'm going to go through some of these next comments.
It's definitely happening.
Yeah, we're playing Chelsea. So Aaron Love is saying, I spent a fortune on sending flowers to Japan. My daughter and granddaughter and daughter's mum. Valentine's Day is a load of winks. Yep. Kev Williams is saying, Coover.
Big up, Kev.
Celery Agent is saying, good evening, Celery Agent. Lovely to see you as always. Kev Williams is saying, oh God, I don't think I could deal with another Ndombele and Kessié. Yeah, who knows? Kev Williams is saying, Tesco ham sandwich. It's the perfect metaphor for the Tottenham team at the moment. Aaron Dubb is saying, Berbatov was the anomaly, really lazy player stereotype. But the thing Berbatov had, he had sheer quality.
Yeah.
And
Derek Hutchinson is saying, it is now time to look at some of the younger players.
I suppose you could say to an extent Adebayor had it, because there were times where he could be devastating.
Yeah.
Other times he was exactly what he looked like.
Kev Williams is saying, in all fairness, lads, Spurs are better underdogs. When we expected to win, we turn to crap. Winds me up. Yeah. Back to Derek Hutchinson's point. Is it time in the right back spot we bring in youth players? Because I have no faith. As much as people are now slaughtering me for something, I have no faith in Emerson Royale, and I have surely no faith in Doherty. I mean, when the most blatant patriotic Irishman in Mr. Dermot Moyles is saying, get him out of the club. You know that someone is an absolute shocker of a footballer. Yeah. Dermot disowned Doherty yesterday. Doherty is no longer a real Irishman in the eyes of Tottenham Tantrum Gold, apparently. So, do you boys bring in youth players at right back in that area?
Here's the trouble. The player, well, the person we miss the most right now is Pochettino. Because if we can't get things through the transfer market, we're going to have to rely on the youth. And who do you want developing your youth players? It's not Conte. That's not really his game, is it? He's going to want some ready-mades in his team. Pochettino would be perfect if we're building from scratch. We'd just have to allow him 2 or 3 years to get them through. So it's going to be difficult. This is what everybody keeps saying, isn't it? You've backed Conte. If we got him and we're sticking with him, that's the only choice there is.
Yeah.
Because Conte is not going to be relying on the sort of a 17-year-old coming off the bench and expecting him to change the match. He's obviously professional enough and a good enough sort of human being to big the player up and say they've got a lot of potential and things. But he's not going to say that that's somebody we should expect to change the football match for us. So we're in trouble if we're going to fail to spend.
One thing I asked my Wolves fella on the flight last night, I says, if we offered you Doherty back, would you take him? And he smiled and he says, no.
Yeah, exactly.
So even his old club don't want him back. The thing about bringing in new players, that could have two effects. You bring them in and they play very well and happy days, confidence booster. We've got a player for the future or whatever. Bring them in and we get stuffed. You've got the Sessegnon situation again yesterday. Confidence gone. Very, very. As you said there, Kuva, Conte's not a guy for bringing on, not going into the youth team and bringing on players like that. We're going to have an awful lot more pain this season before the gain starts coming in. The gain will be next season if the summer works out right for us. But against that, if we finish in 8th or 9th position in the league this season, which, let's face it, that's where our form guide is putting us at the moment, then we're not going to attract the players. Unless Paratici can get his magic wand out and get players in who don't mind not playing in Europe, who don't mind coming into a project that's nowhere near completion or looking like winning trophies. So I'll tell you, we might think we're bad now in the middle of February. I'd say by the middle of April, May, we could be, not.
And more importantly, players that cost less than sort of 25 million or so.
Exactly. We've got to remember that the are tight. So yeah, it's not. I suppose it's time to mention this so-called bid that's been refused. Would that be the end of our problems if that bid was accepted and we had new owners coming in?
No, not that one.
No, because what we found out on Sean's stream is we didn't find it out. It's obvious. It's a special acquisition company, a SPAC, as you call it, which means it's a group of people that go in and strip assets of the club. So they would do what Levy's doing, but without putting stuff into the football pitch. They would not care. At least you can say with Levy, it's the devil you know and not the devil you don't know. And will Spurs fans want to trade Daniel Levy, someone that people do not like, for someone that's possibly very dangerous in Mr. Jeffrey Soros, who is George Soros' nephew?
So it's frying pan and fire, really, are the two things you put together there.
Who we do not physically know. You never know with what the Soroses do in terms of, we don't know if they've done it, if they haven't done it. It's all up in the air unless you're really close to that family. But
yeah,
I think.
What about this Forrest Lee fella that was given all the treatment there over Christmas? What about him?
Sounded more promising, but I think he's somebody that was after sort of investing us over a period of time, so small sort of chunks of the club. But it would bring funds in to buy players if we did it smartly. But is that what the ENIC really want? They are. We all know they're all about the money. So I mean, if they get a chunk in, they'll take the chunk out, I'd imagine. Doesn't suit them to be throwing money into the club when the whole purpose and then owning us is to make money.
Yeah.
I mean, with Forrest Lee, I think we also need to be worried about whether private information of season ticket holders goes to certain organisations that we will not speak of on the show because we want to keep it non-political, of course.
Right. Yeah.
Is that I think the only option for Tottenham to sell is to sell to another American owner, a proper like a sports team owner, in the vein of a Fenway Sports Group. So I've been touting the Fenway, touting the Guggenheim family that partly own the LA Dodgers, and we've seen that they can run football teams with and sports teams with LA Rams winning the Super Bowl yesterday, which is going to upset Arsenal fans a lot because they've won the trophy and Arsenal haven't. So lol. But if suddenly Arsenal get a load of Super Bowl money shoved into them, because the Super Bowl is a lot of money if you win it for your team, it's a worrying thing. So maybe we do need to be owned by another sports team owner that owns multiple clubs that is using the funds for all their teams to put in the club. Maybe that's the way to go.
Yeah, might be one of the sort of media networks that take an interest in funding a Premier League team.
Yeah,
it's possible.
Yeah, or Amazon, of course, the old one is always there in the background.
That's my dream one. Bring on the Bezos.
Well, the thing about Amazon, you can end up turning the stadium into a warehouse.
I hope he does, and we win the Premier League.
That's fine.
Easily.
Yeah.
400 million on transfers.
5 billion on building the greatest team of all time, and then who cares?
Bring us Amazon.
Jeff Bezos carries 3 million around in his back pocket, 3 billion around in his back pocket. It's loose change to him. You know?
Yeah. So let's do it.
Yeah.
Go on, Mr. Bezos.
You're
very welcome.
Might as well go full evil.
We'll even throw in the naming rights free.
Yeah.
The Amazon.
It's got to be the Amazon basin, hasn't it?
Sounds good, doesn't it?
The Amazon basin, yeah.
Maxim Patscotsy is a proper player. I'd get him in. Yeah. William is saying.
Yeah, he is actually. Yeah. He's in a Latvian international, Latvia or Lithuania, isn't it?
It's one of those two. Yeah. How can Doherty?
I haven't seen him play, but I've heard a lot of good things. There's far too many people rating him in comments to sort of ignore it. I'd like to have a look for sure.
There's no smoke without fire. Doherty, how can Doherty be such a good player for Wolves and banging in goals? Comes to Spurs and in that vein of form is absolutely robbing it. The system doesn't fit him at all. He basically is a goal hanger, and he's not doing.
Was he that good for Wolves? I didn't think so.
Is the most goal involvements in his last season
I think he just caught the eye because it's basically a fullback scoring goals.
Yeah,
so it's unusual.
He scored against us 2 years ago when they won 3-2. I think that sealed the deal. That's what we bought him.
It's like a comment I made about yesterday, Dendonka. I said, I bet he scores because he's that kind of big lump that will just happen to be in the box when we make a mistake. That's what I say about Doherty. Perhaps that's how we employ Doherty, just put him as a goal hanger.
Yeah. Kev Williams is saying he's an undercover Arsenal player. Doesn't make sense to me.
Don't know about the undercover part.
Can anyone seriously see Levy spending at anywhere near the level that is truly required to come in the summer? Never in a million years. Absolutely bang on, sir. Carl Simpson is saying, morning, lads. Morning, Carl. So the agent is saying, lol, Phil. Yep. Aaron Dubb is actually saying he's an Estonian international.
Yeah, exactly. He's one of the Baltic countries, all right. Yeah.
And
soon to be part of the USSR then. Oh, no, not getting political.
Yeah.
Depending.
No politics, Kuva, no politics. I'm running the show, no politics. Lovely to see Shorty Boy yesterday. Shorty Boy is just a legend.
Well, Putin's the sort of man that you think can do a takeover.
Putin buys Tottenham.
Cool.
Probably to get him to buy us.
I don't have the links for that.
Can you imagine? That'll be beyond surreal.
Run it with an iron fist. We just turn up and take over their stadium.
Russian state guard at the entrance to the stadium and stuff. Got to show your papers.
When it's surrounded by tanks, we know the job's been done, you know.
Wouldn't have tanks. Tanks is too much like statues, isn't it?
I think we'd win the league, though, wouldn't we? No team would show up against us.
No, Abramovich would be all right, wouldn't he? He'd have some shady dealings to get some points.
The drugs testers would have a field day anyway. They'd be around in every match.
I think the fans
convince me. Let's do it.
Turning up. So morning, Shawnee Boyles. Lovely to see you yesterday, my friend. Lovely to see Sean.
Wonder what the fit for purpose test had come up with if Putin was trying to buy us.
I think he did a made for purpose test on the Premier League.
I think that's another show on the Spurs talk show. Just like the fantasy fit for purpose test.
Well, I mean, if the Newcastle guys can get away with it, anybody can.
Let's try and steer clear of the politics, boys.
Yeah.
We've had our fun. Now let's get back to football. Carl was saying, is it wrong? I would take absolutely anyone right now. I mean,
yes,
probably.
Yeah. There's worse things
There's
than
worse
what we've got.
than Levy.
Even Mike
Fair enough, Aaron, too, mate. Fair enough. And yeah, and we're going to avoid some of the bringing comments on the stream because you never know what's going to happen with YouTube. So cheers for the comments, guys, but some of them might be a bit risque. So yeah,
I was supposed to say that the views of the commenters are not necessarily those of the management.
The views of the comments are not the views of Tottenham Tantrum Gold, and it's
No, I'm with them. Let's do it. We'll have to get rid of the cockerel though and have a big Russian bear on the island.
We already have one Russian bear here in Mr. Kaufman. We can't have another one.
Fair enough.
So. Yeah. Where do we see what's happening? What is going to happen with this club in the next couple of months? How do we fix this? How does Mr. Conte fix?
Well, there's an immediate thing we're going to see happening, isn't there? We'll go to the Etihad and get absolutely battered. I'm almost tempted to put money on of it being our record defeat. That's how bad it is at the moment.
I have a feeling. I have a feeling, though, if we have Skip and Dyer back for next week, which, let's face it, what is the extent of their injury? You know, we keep telling you he's got a thigh injury, he's got this, that. Are they long-term or are they short-term? Will somebody please tell us, right? Because I'd like a bit of confidence going forward, knowing those two guys will be in the team, which at least will limit the damage that's going to happen next weekend. I'm no doubt we're going to get beaten, but better get beat 1-0 than 5-0. And that's the difference those two guys could make to us, you know?
I think with Dyer, when they say thigh injury and he's been out this amount of weeks already, you'd have to assume it's a fairly serious injury.
Yeah.
So it's probably a tear of some sort. That could take a while.
Here is a question for you boys. We seem to have all these long-term injuries, and it's been happening for the past 20 years, ever since really Levy's been in charge. I'm going to blame Levy for it because it's his job to buy the fitness team and employ the people that should be good. Why is our fitness team so bad? We always seem to have these long-term niggling injuries. We've seen it with Harry Kane, Son Heung-min.
The fitness team comes with the manager. The fitness team normally comes with the manager.
But then I have to politely disagree with you, Finit, because we've had these problems with Conte. We had them with Mourinho. We've had them with Pochettino. We had them with Martial. We've had them with all of them.
Do you think it's pressure to get the players back in the team quickly? Pressure coming from Levy, perhaps?
It must be, mustn't it?
He might just be saying, no, we've got these massive wages being paid. I want to see the players in this team.
That is what it seems to me. It seems to me that the hierarchy of the club have because I reckon our fitness team must be brilliant. Returning Harry Kane to injury, he's always 2 months early, but I think it's the player that does that. But I think that's sort of letting him down because he's not fully recovering from his injury. When he gets the next injury, it's worse. So is it time there's a new absolute overhaul of the fitness team? Maybe that's something Paratici's thinking of the fitness team. Maybe our fitness team just is not good enough.
Are we too old-fashioned in what we've got? I mean, you'd imagine there's going to be coaches dealing with strength and speed and the basic footballing mechanics. But about the sort of ones that get the muscles in the condition where they're more flexible and more supple. Perhaps that's more of a sort of aerobic type thing, if you like. I don't know what it is. I'm sure some of the ladies into their fitness will know the sort of things that's required to keep muscles in good condition. But
I reckon things haven't been the same since the Magic Sponge went. All
Yeah,
these fancy,
right.
fancy new gadgets don't seem to do the business. Like a player went down injured in the 1960s and 70s, rub of the sponge, he's back up on his feet as if nothing had ever happened.
Yeah.
Seriously though, I don't know. Okay, the fitness coaches are probably one part of the equation. The fitness people, the physiotherapists are probably another. So maybe you're right. Maybe that physiotherapy end of it needs to be looked at, because the manager will bring his own fitness coaches with him. But you could be right, though. Maybe the other guys are there for the last 10, 12 years. And if that's the case, then maybe, yes, they need to be shipped out and get a new lot in.
I mean, if that is the case that we've literally lacking the expertise in those departments, that's another huge negative on the Daniel Levy sheet, isn't it?
The training ground is the best in the world. And, what are we doing? Are we having a Harrods premises and little staff? Is that the way it's no offense to little staff, but you know what I'm getting at? The best looking training ground in the world, but the people that are staffing it are not suitably qualified to do the job they should be doing. And I don't know, it's a bit of a mystery.
Alternatively, having looked at the Amazon documentary, it looked pretty comfortable in that treatment room, didn't it? Perhaps the players just fancy a bit of a lie down.
Yeah. Maybe the physiotherapy team are too comfortable as well, like the players. Yeah. It's what I've been saying for a couple of weeks. I think this losing mentality of the club has been coming directly from the top.
Yeah. I'm just going back to the physiotherapy end of the thing. Bill Nicholson was a trainer. It was a fitness instructor in the British Army during the war, and those guys don't take any shit. Really.
I bet he was having them fit. So that's why we won the Second World War. Bill Nicholson.
Bill Nicholson was a fitness coach. What I'm saying is, you want a sergeant major type in there. Yeah. Like I'd say, there's players that go in there with an injury, and who are we playing next week? Man City. Don't fancy that. I'll make out I'm injured. We want players that would go out.
I can solve this.
They went out and played with an injury because they did not want to be left out of the team. Yeah. We need players like that. The problem now is there's too much money, too much comfort. They mollycoddle too much. They really are spoiled brats, basically. That's my interpretation.
I'll solve this one. If we get rid of the physio staff in the treatment room, replace them with this massive meathead of a bloke, unshaven, eye patch, your balding head, perhaps ex-French Foreign Legion style, and then he's got a bloody apron on and a bunch of tools in his tool belt, and he's just going, right, who's next? And then we'll see how much they're injured then, shall we?
Exactly. Yeah. That's it. I mean, players in the olden days played with injuries. They played with injections. Does that happen now?
Yeah, that's what done Kieran Trippier in. He was made to play with injections every single game for like 3 months.
Do you remember, Philip will probably remember, Coventry City back in the 80s, they had a player named Lloyd McGrath. He was a sort of a Kante light, if you like. And one season, he knew he was important to the team for chasing down the ball, doing everything he possibly could to get them some possession. And one season, he broke his tibia, I think it was. It was either his tibia or his fibia. He got a hairline fracture in it. Now, if that happened today, weeks out, he knew how important it was to the team, so he carried on playing with it. And I thought that shows what a difference between then and now. Because then, nowadays, like slight breeze, bit of chafing, they're off for 3 weeks.
Dead leg, 2 games out.
Massage session. Oh, yeah, that'll do me.
And look at Dave Mackay back in the 60s, broke his leg numerous times. In fact, he came back from one break, first game back, broke it again.
Yeah.
But he kept coming back, So those players are very few and far between now.
Yeah.
I'm afraid money talks, and that's too much of a comfort lifestyle,
Yeah. Andrew Bailey is in the house. Hope yous are well. Just had a game of pool in the hospital. Did Spurs versus Arsenal. Don't worry. Ended up 5-2 Tottenham.
Good man. Good man.
Good man, Andrew.
We got to win at something.
One in a while.
Kev Williams is saying not a decent backup player and overusing the main 11s takes its toll. Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
It's partly down to it's all down to the recruitment. All down to the recruitment. So, right, this was only going to be a short stream this morning because I didn't realise I was only going to be running solo. So, an absolute massive thank you to everyone that joined us. Thank you to Philip for joining us and being the wingman of today and saving me out of a rut because I was on my own, and he brought the chat and he brought his endless enthusiasm, and brilliant to meet him yesterday as well. And to my first time co-host, Mr. Coover99, for jumping in at the right moment for some chat. And
Good to be the wingman for once.
Yeah, you're the wingman for once. I'm running the show, the master of ceremonies. Long may it continue. So,
very good.
As always, from Tottenham Tantrum Gold, it was lovely to see you all. Thank you so much. And we will see you in the next stream. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Leave me out.